Hello and welcome to the Full Advisor Coaching Podcast. I'm your host, Kristin Herod, and today is an exciting day for me because I get to bring on two gentlemen who I've had the pleasure of working with. We've worked together for about 2 years, and it's just exciting for me to be able to share their story as one of a big transition that they've made over a number of years, and I'm excited to bring light on that today. Today, I will be talking to Jon Schwalbach and Jon Holmgren, who are both partners at Freedom Financial Partners, which is an independent RIA based in the Twin Cities. Welcome, Jon and Jon. Good to have you here and good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you as well. And thanks for having us.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get into it, let's just give our listeners a little context on, how you got into this business or started your business, and then we'll kind of take it from there and unpack your story and just what's been going on for you over the last few years.
Yeah, so we went independent 13 years ago. And I guess by independent, we're going to get to various iterations of independence, I think, during our conversation today. But
yes,
started Freedom Financial Partners as an entity 13 years ago. And we were part of a broker-dealer at the time. And essentially, we've kind of seen, multiple iterations of our business. Eventually, we ended up going the RIA route, but we were under a corporate RIA, and we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. And then from there, we did go fully independent to be our own RIA about 2 years ago. So it's been, kind of an evolution of our business over the last 13 years, and we're really excited for where things go from here.
Oh, great. And Jon Holmgren, how did you get into the business, or how did you get paired up with Jon?
Sure. I was going to say, Jon and I both have our roots. We've both worked for United Capital or been affiliated with United Capital in our career. So when I was looking to move to the Twin Cities area 5 years ago, it was such a natural fit with him. And we've really enjoyed building the business over the last 5 years. Fortunately, our third partner is not named Jon, but Trevor. And the three of us really enjoy working together. And I think you'll find in this episode, a unique part about Freedom Financial is, we enjoy having a small footprint, but partnering with some of the best vendors, partners within this industry to help us build along the way.
Yes, great. Yeah, and you guys are just fun to work with, frankly. I mean, I just love, I had, for the listeners, I've had the pleasure, I've worked with Jon and Jon, I worked for them for the past 2 years, and I was able to watch them go through this transition. We partnered up right when you made that transition out of the corporate into the fully independent. So I've been able to see what that looks like. But to set the context, I'd love it if you could give us, give the listeners just a snapshot of what it was like inside a corporate RIA and like what was really good about that. Like what worked well, like once you moved out of the BD and you're in a corporate RIA, what was that structure doing for you?
Yeah, so I think some of the things that were good about being inside the corporate RIA, they come with things like you've got compliance, right?
Yeah.
You've got some, off-the-shelf marketing if you decide that you want that. There's a tech stack that you can utilize, right? They have trading platforms. And so there's a lot of things that you can use. And I think as we were building our business, a lot of those things were helpful. But over time, as we grew and the business started just to become, I think, more of what we wanted it to become, we needed it to be more customized, more specialized to who we wanted to be. And so I think ultimately we just got to a point where it made sense to go outside of that structure of the corporate RIA and just be able to do things, I guess, a little bit more as we saw fit.
Right, right. Jon Holmgren, I see you nodding your head. What would you add on to that?
No, I'd 100% agree with Jon. I think there's a size that Freedom Financial was at, say 5 years ago, where it made a lot of sense financially for us to partner with a lot of these off-the-shelf solutions. And then, yeah, you start to get to the size and you have the ability to bring in more resources and kind of build it, how you want to at the end of the day, which was the direction Jon was going with it.
Yeah. When you were leaving and making that transition, what were you afraid of giving up?
I think the first thing a lot of people bring up is, the compliance aspect to our business is getting more and more complicated. And there's a degree of comfort, if the SEC comes knocking on our door, where you have all of the corporate RIA resources behind you. So I think you have to have the right people within the org to take that independent step. Like at the end of the day, you have to have a chief compliance officer, right? You have to have somebody that can coordinate some of these outside resources. So when I had joined the firm, it was kind of a natural fit in that we had some of those internal resources to evaluate a move like that.
Hey there, it's Kristin. Quick break. If you're enjoying the show and you want more, head on over to fulladvisorcoaching.com/resources. You can download the toolkits that I have there and join the free insider community. You'll be the first to hear about new trainings, fresh podcast episodes, and I share with you real-world strategies that I see working for advisors right now. That's fulladvisorcoaching.com/resources. Go sign up. It's completely free. And now, back to the show. And I definitely have seen in working with you, you both kind of fill different roles with Jon Schwalbach doing, a lot of the client facing work and engaging out in the community and being, more of the face behind along with Trevor, your partner, the other partner in that role. And then Jon Holmgren being running everything behind the scenes, the COO role. So it's interesting. It's great to see both of you with that dynamic, because I know it's kind of in the EOS terms, a lot of visionary integrator type of role too, which comes up a lot when I'm working with firms, very common to have those two different types of personalities. How did that help you with making this transition? I imagine it had a pretty helpful impact on that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I look back, 5 years ago before Jon, came into to Freedom Financial, we wouldn't have been ready operationally to do something like this. Jon came from a bigger firm, and he had kind of been down this journey of working with a firm that, was fully independent. And what does that really look like? What does it take to run a business like that? And so I think we had to, go through a few stages with him coming in and kind of telling us, like, guys, here's sort of where you need to go next, where you need to go next. And ultimately, he, I think, was very instrumental in helping Trevor and I just get very comfortable that, yeah, we can do this, right? We have the team to do it, because quite frankly, we just weren't there before. And I think that was, probably for me, the scariest thing is now you're going to take on more compliance, let's call it burden, operational burden, and you just have to be ready to do it. But I think once we actually went ahead and made the decision, we knew it was the right decision. And having someone who's been there and done this with other businesses gave us a lot of confidence that we could successfully make that transition.
Oh, that's great. Jon, what's your point of view on
Yeah,
that?
we've certainly heard the horror stories before we started on this journey too, of, you're going to spend your entire time doing compliance. Like somebody like Jon Schwalbach's not going to be able to grow the business because it's going to be too complicated to run. And I don't think a lot of those have been borne out with the pathway that we've gone. I don't think we're spending a ton more time running the business than we were under the corporate RIA structure, has been what we've realized.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. And we'll get into some of the great, the freedom that it has given you, which is very exciting. But Jon Schwalbach, I am curious because I know as we'll get into, you work with business owners, your firm focuses on working with business owners. So we'll get into that. But and it's great that you are, of course, business owners yourselves and now making it very relatable to the audience, also relevant. But Jon, I believe you said your father was an entrepreneur. Is that right?
Yeah. My father was a dentist, started his own business basically out of dental school and ran it for almost 50 years. So I kind of grew up around that. And my grandfather, his name is also Jon Schwalbach. He had a Texaco gas station in St. Paul and ran that for many years after he returned from World War II. So I just kind of, grew up around all of that and was able to kind of watch that happen during my lifetime. And so it did help, I think, during these various stages of independence to have some of that experience, just life experience to go back on, because it's not always easy. I think a lot of people are like, oh yeah, it's just easy to start your own business and run it. And there's going to be hard times. There's going to be challenging times. And going into that with some of those expectations does help.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. Like, was it something you always knew you wanted to eventually become, like run your own business? Or did you think perhaps, oh no, I'm actually, we're kind of hanging out under this corporate RIA close enough? Like what?
Yeah, I think in the back of my mind, I always knew that I wanted to run my own business, with other people, of course, get a great team to help and to complement, hopefully what I'm able to bring to the table. And it's one thing that I would say it really did change when we made the move to being fully independent, because even under a corporate RIA, I always felt like I was more part of building like a practice. And now I really feel like we're truly running a business, right? We're doing this on our own. We're building enterprise value. And when you work with other business owners, that's a lot of what we talk about in the planning process is, where does the business fit into your financial plan? Because for a lot of us, it is the biggest asset, right?
Right.
And how do you continue to build enterprise value and help other business owners do that?
Yeah. And I absolutely love that you can parlay that experience that you're living and carry your expertise of, wealth management and financial planning to that audience. I love when that comes together in that way. And what I'm hearing is that Jon Holmgren, by coming in and helping and having his systems thinking and operational focus, was able to almost give you that sense of confidence that, now is the right time that we can do this. And I'll say, listeners, having known them for a while, like watching the play between the two of you, I see how things get done and how things grow because of the different skill sets you each bring to the table, and having that sort of, visionary integrator, client focused, internal focused balance that is so hard to find. And when it works, and when it works well, it's fantastic. So, all right. So now you've been independent. All right. So you went independent, and I remember because, we had just started working together. So I remember you had to kind of get through all the paperwork and do all the things that we got to get get through all the corporate structure and all of those different things. What was on your mind then? Like, take us back there and be like, okay, where were you? Like, what do we have to do? Like, what were you thinking at the time?
Well, as far as after we became independent, the first thing is, the first time you do billing, it's like, is this going to work? Right? Are we going to have anything like
that's funny.
Probably the biggest thing is you got to go through all that.
Are we going to get paid?
Those first cycles of things, everything with compliance. And then we're an EOS business. So again, we had a lot of things that we're kind of working just to get through this transition.
Right.
And I think for me, a lot of those things can be kind of draining because I want to be out focused on working with clients and meeting with clients and what does that next kind of iteration of our business start to look like? And so when it came up like, hey, we had some marketing help before and now we don't, like, what are we going to start to do about that? And that became in EOSB kind of a rock for us to solve, for us to start to look at, because it is something that you oftentimes leave behind. And how are we going to now go into this marketplace as a fully independent firm? And what's going to make us different than other people in the space? And how do we start to talk about that? So that's where my head went. And hence, that's how, we got introduced to each other.
Yes, I remember getting that.
I think if I'm not mistaken, Jon was the one who
I was going to say Jon Holmgren.
Introduction. I didn't know you, but Jon did. So
he did his research. He reached out. I remember having a conversation over a couple of months, which was great because, we were able to go back. It was like before you made the official transition, but it was coming up. And then once you did, we were able to start to help you get clear first and foremost on, you had your brand, Freedom Financial Partners, and that you were a DBA under the other firm. So that was out there, that was established. But then it was like, okay, well, if we're going to put resources behind marketing, where are we going to direct that? Because we don't want you to fall victim to the try to market to everyone, right? And I know you had some business owners and high net worth individuals and kind of a broader positioning. And through iteration, we came down to a more specific audience targeting the business owners. Let's talk a little bit more about how you got to that, just so people out there who are going, we got to figure this out. What should we do?
Yeah, Jon, I'm trying to put ourselves back in that mindset, a couple of years ago. I'm remembering from a marketing perspective, we had a bunch of kind of random things kind of sitting on the shelf. And when I say that, I mean, our website was there and functional, but it really wasn't oriented towards the type of clients that we wanted to attract.
Right.
I think a lot of our marketing was just kind of random. It was making sure we communicate with our current clients, but there wasn't a lot of strategic thought put towards like, who should we be talking to? And Jon, I know you were kind of concurrently thinking through as kind of the visionary of the firm, where should the business turn as we went fully independent? I think it was right around that time we were starting to talk about the business owner niche.
Yeah, and we'd always worked with business owners, but we, worked with a lot of different people as well. And I think as we kind of looked at, where does this business head, over time, who are we best suited to work with? What do we want to be known for? And it just became so, I think, apparent to us that this is who we are, right? We're a successful small business, right? We feel like we can add a lot of value by having these planning conversations with business owners. We've made, mistakes along the way that we can bring that experience as well. But I think more than anything, it was just, again, we started to look at ourselves more as, I think, not just financial planners, but advisors to entrepreneurs and business owners, right? And we were living this every day. So when you get into a room with a successful business owner, you're sharing a lot of the same stories because, there's things that just consistently happen when you own a business. And so I think that was where it was just something that became, again, really apparent. This is the direction that we need to go. And how do we start to talk about this in a really, powerful way?
And just to chime in too, I mean, when we're having all of those thoughts, we're evaluating marketing resources. And I think what drew us to Kristin, I think we talked to 6 or 7 firms at the time. I mean, this was a pretty wide search for us from a marketing funnel. And Kristin, what appealed to us is you are a small business owner as well too, and former
Yep.
advisor. And those are things that made us stop and say, hey, I think this is the right person to help us partner to not only launch this new firm, but launch kind of within the business owner niche as well too.
Oh, interesting. That's an extra layer. I'll say that having run an RIA has definitely helped me in the way that you see when you're having conversations, just because you have been in the shoes of the people you're working with, which I think, it doesn't always have to be the niche you pursue. People always, look and go, well, do I have to pursue people like me? You don't have to, but when you can or do or feel excitement around that, it's certainly, it helps bring those relationships to fruition faster. I think gives you the natural connection. And I'll say all the work when I was working with you and with other firms, like when you're learning from other businesses what their mistakes are, I'm seeing what your mistakes are. You'll probably see what my mistakes are. It's fun to learn and see and be in that creative, energetic culture of entrepreneurship, right? No matter where you are on the stage, we all want to grow. We're all facing those issues. You're at different levels of progression, and it's certainly an exciting niche, and one that just seemed to be one that drew energy from you. I know, Jon Schwalbach, when you'd come on a call and talk about how you're helping a client or how you're addressing a need, it just flows naturally, right? It's just like, because you genuinely believe in entrepreneurship, and I see that come through. And so the messaging, really making that choice of, hey, we are going to commit to this particular target audience. That's where I saw it, change for you, where we weren't, hey, let's try to make sure we fold in everyone so that we can do that. Or we don't want to alienate our high net worth individuals that we work with. It's not about that. You service them and service them well. It's about where are we investing our marketing resources to attract and grow. So what direction are we taking the firm? And that's something I know, Jon Holmgren, you kept bringing it back of like, are we going in the direction we want to go? And we kept, working together in that coaching and like, are we staying on that track? Yes, let's keep it there. So I saw a shift in you, even just making that decision that, yes, we are all in on this audience. And it's got to feel good. I mean, I know it informs so much of like knowing where, how to set those quarterly rocks and where you want to go next. Right. Yeah. I mean, I saw that as a through line. I saw about 8 quarters of rocks and it's like, we could see the through line and the pacing, right? Of how are we going to, now where are we focusing? Is it website? Is it content? Is it outreach in the community? Is it advertising dollars? What is it? So, go ahead, Jon.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, it certainly seems obvious in retrospect, and very easy for us to go down that niche, but I don't want to pretend it was a lot of hard conversations internally, hard conversations with you. And I think everything we've talked about is kind of tied together. We had to be on the right platform, which is a fully independent RIA. We had to be partnered with the right marketing consultant, which was you, to help us jumpstart kind of within. And we had to be working with the right type of clients. So we had to have everything kind of lined up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, and the hard piece upon making the decision to focus on this audience is trying to bring that messaging alive. I know we invested a lot of time and energy into getting that messaging down and trying to bring it forth to the website, to the collateral that you have, to the talking points on podcasts and on videos and things that you're doing. So I think that is one area that I'd be curious to hear, like, are you feeling confident and comfortable now in that space around the messaging?
Yeah, I think the messaging is really strong. I think we know, who we are, and we're doing a better job, I think, of relaying that in the marketplace, so that not only, do our clients recognize that, but the people around us, especially I'd say like our centers of influence, it's hard to differentiate sometimes in the wealth management space. And
oh yeah,
we're not going to be the best fit, for every potential client or people that get referred to us. But I feel like, having made this commitment and having gone out and talked to people about it, people know who we are and who we're best suited to work with. And I think that's been a really, great thing for the firm. And quite frankly, it's really good for the people we get introduced to, because we're probably going to be a pretty good fit for them versus, someone that gets introduced and maybe isn't quite the right fit. And they could be better served somewhere else.
Right. I think it'd be valuable for people listening in just to hear a little bit about how you've approached where you're directing your marketing. Early on, I know we started with baseline content on the website. Like, how are we developing, your story arc of like, hey, these are the areas of expertise we have. And we broke down doing some, very detailed long form blog posts to really get that like understanding that we do more than just investment management. We serve business owners in this way. And these are all of the problems that could come up. And these are the things that are worrying you. And here's how we help you. So we had a content arc on that. We got messaging on the website around business owners. You have a lead magnet, right? A free information in exchange for a name and email address. I definitely want you to talk about that. But how else has it informed where you direct your time, money, and energy, both on the staffing side and the internal side and externally?
Yeah, Kristin, this is probably a good story for the listeners or viewers. I remember the first thing you had us do, you called it, or maybe we called it, a manifesto.
Yes, I know you called it that. I was like, do we want to call it that? But okay, you did.
Which
so that's
was a
fine.
very intimidating, I think, document for us to approach, because I don't remember what the length was as far as wording. But
yes, thousands of words. I said, you got to make it long form and cover the,
remember thinking to myself, like, oh my God, how are we going to do, 3,000 to 5,000 words on how we serve business owners? And
right.
Jon and I sat down to write it. I realized it was coming much easier than I thought it would, just because it was the niche that we probably should be orienting towards, because it's kind of where we have the passion. And I think it took us all of like 3 or 4 days to put together kind of the base, kind of rough draft. And I think that was a very good exercise for us, because it informed us, hey, we're going the right direction. But it also informed a lot of the marketing that we've done from that point too, which is like, hey, let's take this manifesto, so to speak, and how do we break it into more tangible pieces for the audience that we're trying to serve. So.
Right. And that piece is evergreen and things that you can come back to. And I do think, because it really, if there was one thing that kind of crystallized the foundation of messaging, I do think that going through that exercise together, because I remember it, you were like, oh my goodness, you want us to do what?
Right.
And, and it's something, and I'll say early, it wasn't like AI was around, but early, and you were doing it like, it wasn't like today where you're like, yes, give me a 5,000 word post, and you're like, oh, we have to do this ourselves. We have to write it. And it was good. Like, just seeing the categories and the thing, it even kind of influenced how you position conversations with centers of influence, right? And looking at different people who you have on your team who can help solve estate planning issues, right? Or looking at for tax partners, et cetera. Like, you're looking for all of those elements that shape the team and the service offering. And it comes from, well, let's get really clear by answering some fundamental questions in a single blog post. And so I think that's helpful from that point. And then as you look to get out in the community, how are you making those choices? Because I know you've made some investments in that way as well.
Yeah, and I'll just say, just with the team knowing the direction that we're going, and even certainly the partners, it's important. Like, what credentials are we going to get? What are we going to try and get better, right? So I'm a certified exit planning advisor, or a SEPA, right, as we call it in our industry. We've had, two of our other advisors, including Trevor, my business partner, Kyle, who's another great CFP at our firm, both become SEPAs. I mean, now we're not only financial planners, but we're helping people specifically with business exit planning. So that's helped.
Right.
The conferences that we go to, right? And then as you mentioned, what events are we sponsoring, right? So there's another podcast, that we sponsor called Poised for Exit. I mean, it's right in our niche market, right? So
it's right on target, right? Yeah.
It's right on target. And so it does help as you, get into where are you going to spend your time and your money, and are they in the right rooms with the right people? And I think before we were a little more scattered and just sort of stuff would come up and it's like, oh, that kind of sounds good. Maybe we'll try this. Maybe we'll try that. Yeah. It's not like that anymore. I think we have a pretty clear, focus on where we're going and why, and that helps inform the rest of these decisions.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most valuable things that can happen for leadership in a firm is to be able to have a sort of a marker against which to measure these decisions so that you can say, is this taking us in the direction we want to go? Yes or no? Is this building on the last thing we did? Yes or no? Versus, we'll try it. Throw this here, put that there, post that there. Maybe we'll do this. When I see this come to fruition, it really makes a big difference. And I've tuned into your podcast where you've been interviewed, Jon Schwalbach, on the Poised for Exit. And I mean, and just hearing the messaging, it's very comfortable. It's natural. You're reinforcing the value to the target audience. It's really it's just flowing in that way. And how are you seeing it? You created this business owner assessment as a tool for people to take a look at. I mean, that's something that's very tangible that if, a business owner is listening and or they're coming to your site and they see it and they can fill that out and engage with it. And you're looking at potentially ways to evolve or change that. But how are you finding that kind of tool to help you with the marketing as well? Because that is something I always bring up, and it is something that I'd love to hear you speak to.
Well, it's nice for people to be able to come to our site and have something short, like 5 minutes long, that they can take at their own pace and just hopefully get some value from it. It'll ask them, this assessment we have is just 20 questions. But they're 20 really important questions about how, business owners should kind of look at financial planning and some of the key things that they need to start thinking about. And it's all self-scored. It's not real complicated. But when we look at that for the first time with the business owner, it really helps us go to the things that are most top of mind, because this can be pretty intimidating, especially for, somebody that's got a million things that they're doing running their business. And then they got to think about this financial planning thing. It's like, maybe there's just a couple of things that we can start a conversation with and start building some trust, because this doesn't have to start out as some massive project or some huge plan, right? We can start just a conversation. What's working? What are you struggling with? Where can we help you? And again, build that relationship over time.
Yeah. And what I think is really interesting around that, and kind of what doing, again, putting that lead magnet, that survey together, as well as the manifesto, if you will, it also informed kind of another piece, the service offering that you're developing and you deliver, right? Because originally it was kind of like, okay, yeah, here's our big thing that you can buy, right? Here's team up with us and here we go. And I know you were working and perhaps are still working internally on structuring, knowing that there are different entry points that a business owner can come in through, and that you do want to help them tackle their biggest problem, their hurdles that they're really weighing them down now. And it may not be the same for each person. How are you thinking about that? And how has zeroing in on this niche helped you think internally too, in terms of structure and process and product offering, service offering?
Yeah, I think that's the fun part for us and the things that we
Yeah.
like to do together. And we enjoy collaborating, Kristin, with you as well, too, on kind of building those tools. And that is the part of the freedom I think we enjoy about, being on the fully
Good.
independent side is, Jon and I can put together a questionnaire. We can run it past our compliance consultant, get their input, but we don't have to go through 5 or 6 different levels of, say, corporate RIA approvals to get something like that done.
Right.
I mean, we've developed our own Freedom Financial app to help in the client experience as well, too. That pulls a lot of our business owner content into a coherent package and allows these business owners that are running 10,000 miles a minute to kind of have one portal that they're looking at to help drill down on some of those. So, I mean, that's an example of some of the tools, and the business owner product for us has been kind of a work in progress over the last couple of years as we kind of hone in, and we only put tools in front of them that we think that they're going to get a lot of value from.
Right.
And just understanding too, just to play on that a lot of business owners don't come in. Sometimes they have a lot of assets outside the business, but that's not always the case, right? Often a lot of business owners have a lot of their net worth tied up in their businesses, or maybe their retirement plans in the business. And so having fee structures and things that allow people to work with you and to charge, planning fees, I think is really important in the business owner market, because it really meets the business owner where they're at. And quite frankly, how they're used to paying for a lot of other services. And you work into that relationship over time, and we do manage a lot of assets, but it may be something that we do, further down the line, and we just start with one part of the planning process that they need help with, knowing that, again, we're going to continue to build on that over time.
Right. And I think the flexibility that you have, I would imagine, being independent, to be able to create the process that you want, to create the product that you want, and to be able to say, hey, we're going to start this conversation talking about your estate planning because that's what you're worried about, versus being like, now let's go in on the investments and set up your portfolio. And just that freedom to be able to engage with people that you do want to form long-term relationships with, I imagine is quite a huge difference from the BD world. And then I'm not sure, how is that different in terms of even your mindset or approach? I'm not sure what you would have been able to do through a corporate RIA if you would have still been able to do that, but more so about how you feel about being able to do that.
We looked at, Jon, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think we've looked at every business owner tool known to man kind of within the industry that's an off-the-shelf type version. And there were parts to all of them that we liked in some part, but we never felt like there was one that kind of captured everything that we were going for. And that's why we enjoy the freedom and flexibility to create our own questionnaires, to create our own apps. Like Jon gets to walk into a meeting with a business owner using an app that he created with a questionnaire that he created and have the conversation that he wants to create. And I think that's the part of our careers that we're at. We've been doing this for a while. We like what we do. We like each other. We trust ourselves to create a better business owner product than, say, a corporate RIA would.
Yeah. No, I think it's super. Jon, were you going to add on that?
No, I think Jon summarized that very, very well.
Yeah, and I think it's fun because when you came to me, you were like, okay, you had responded to my version 2.0 messaging, like you're crafting your version 2.0. What does it look like? It almost feels like you're really getting to a point of fruition on that now, a couple of years later, where it's 2 years later, you're in year 3 now, and you're like, hey, we have flexibility. We know our market. We are comfortable getting out with our messaging. We're finding the people in the community we want to reach. We have tools. We're developing apps. We're highly focused on serving this one, audience fully. And I just think that's really exciting, and it's fun to see you having fun with it. frankly.
No, and that's what we
Yeah.
appreciated kind of partnering with you as well, too, is you understood the vision of what we were going for. And this wasn't going to be a cookie cutter business. It wasn't like,
Yeah.
you didn't come in and tell us, hey, you're going to do these 4 things in order. You said, where are we at as a business too, and helped us adapt as we started to build out some of this stuff too. And yeah, that's who we want to partner with longer term as a business like ours, are people that think, in the ways that we do too. So it's been a fun journey.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly what makes the work I do far more fun and interesting. And now I get to watch and I get so excited when I see something on LinkedIn and I see, that's right on target. Look at them. They're doing that thing. Oh, they had wanted to do that. Now they're doing it, which is really fun because we got you to a spot where you're so clear and so ready and that you can just get out and get, attract.
I will say, yeah,
do the work you want to do.
This is the year a lot of that is kind of culminating to, where we're in the right rooms. We're using Jon in the correct ways to help market the business. John's all over the place. He's on TVs, on podcasts.
I know. I love it. I love it. I know. And for all of you out there who goes, yeah. Yes. And Jon is he's very modest, but he's excellent at that work. So if you can get a chance, tune in. Is there anything you wish you knew before you got into all of this that you were like, if only I knew that, we would do it this way?
I think when you look back on a lot of your career, you're kind of always like, well, I wish I would have done more of this sooner, finding our niche sooner, going fully independent sooner. I mean, they're easy things to say, but at the end of the day, sometimes it's just the right time in the life cycle of your business where you do have not just the economics work, but I think your experience has kind of culminated to a point where you just feel like, yeah, this is who we are best. It's just our most authentic self. We're going to serve this type of client best. And that doesn't happen overnight. It sometimes just takes time and experience. So I always look back and say, I wish we would have done X, Y, and Z sooner. We're where we're at today, and we feel very blessed, throughout this journey. Right. And we're just very excited, I think, for, what the foreseeable future holds, for our firm and where we take it.
Yes. Well said. Well said. Jon, anything to add on that?
No, I mean, I think everything kind of happened in the order. I mean, we've talked about a lot of our big kind of inflection points and what led us to where we are today. And it all kind of tied together, which was, I started a little over 5 years ago. And then shortly after that, we went on to EOS, and we had to make sure that we had the right people on the bus before we made a big, huge business transition. And then we had to make sure we're talking to the right people and we're talking to them in the right ways. And Kristin, you've certainly been very helpful in the latter part of that journey. But yeah, it all ties together. And I agree with Jon. I mean, it's easy to say, I wish we would have done that 10 years earlier. But I think we're in the spot we should be in, and we're excited about what's ahead of us as a business.
Yeah, that's exciting. And that's what makes my work so fulfilling too, is because I do always believe that people, no matter where they are and what they stand on, we all are the sum of our experience. And I think that can give a lot of comfort, because all of the decisions we've made to date inform who you are now. And that's should give you just like, hey, if it was, you knew everything perfectly, we would have been surprised by something else. So it's fun to kind of live in that. I find it very inspiring. And it's one reason I do love to serve, helping people create that next version of themselves and their business, because, it gives people the courage to make a change, figure out what really matters to them, and build something that's truly fit for you. So I'm very pleased to have been part of your journey. I love now being an observer to see where things are going. And I really appreciate you joining me and sharing your story. It means a lot to me. And if I could just duplicate you guys over and over again, I would be living my best life. So that's my goal.
We could duplicate you. We'd have a lot of marketing consultants to work with. So there you go.
Well, I'm very excited.
Just along our journey and pointing us in the right direction, and I think giving us, the confidence chance to really, go after, that part of the market that was most authentic to us, and just feel, very confident about our future, and certainly have a lot more clarity after working with you on all these things that we've done over the last couple of years.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. And I am, again, please, I'm looking forward. I'll be out at the Ascent conference in Minneapolis in the fall. So that will be fun. I'll be able to stop by the Freedom Financial Partners office. So that will be a treat for me. And for everyone listening, if this is something when you're listening and thinking, we have a vision for our 2.0, or we want to get clear on that, or I want to know more about this, feel free, visit me at fulladvisorcoaching.com. Click that button in the upper right-hand corner that says request a call, and we'll have a conversation, and who knows where it will go and where it will take you. And thank you to everyone for listening in today. I appreciate you being here, and I encourage you to go out and make it a great day.
Thank you for tuning in to Full Advisor Coaching, the podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please hit the follow button so you'll never miss an episode. To learn more about how you can become a part of the Full Advisor community, visit fulladvisorcoaching.com. Remember, stay connected and get notified as soon as brand new episodes release. Click the follow button now. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Kristin Harrod or Full Advisor Coaching.